Are you tired of letting anger control your life? Has someone told you that your temper is getting out of control? Is your anger causing problems in your personal life or at work? If you have answered yes to any of these questions, this episode of the Anger Secrets podcast is for you. In this episode, I share 10 rules of anger management that I have developed over the years and describe how to apply them in your daily life. Hello and welcome to episode 94 of the Anger Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Alastair Duhs. Over the last 30 years, I've taught over 15,000 men and women to control their anger, master their emotions, and create calmer, happier, and more loving relationships. Today, I want to discuss 10 rules of anger management that I have used with countless individuals to help them transform their relationship with anger and live calmer, happier, and more peaceful lives. Before I do so, however, if you'd like my help to control your anger, visit my website at angersecrets.com and book a free 30-minute anger assessment call with me. I'd be honoured to guide you on your anger management journey. With that said, let's begin. Rule 1. The key to anger management is awareness. The first rule of anger management is awareness. As I have said many times on this podcast, if you are not aware that you are feeling angry, there's nothing you can do to change how you act when you are angry. However, if you are aware that you are feeling angry, there are many things you can do to de-escalate your anger and respond to any situation in a calm and effective way. So, how do you become more aware when you are feeling angry? The answer to this question is to recognize what I call the early warning signs of anger. If you would like more details about the early warning signs of anger, contact me via my website angersecrets.com and I will send you a free worksheet describing the most common early warning signs of anger. Rule 2. You create your anger. The second rule of anger management is that you create your anger. With this rule, it's important to recognize that other people do not make you angry. Instead, anger is an emotional response that you create based on your thoughts and expectations. By acknowledging that you create your anger, you take the first step towards controlling it. This will empower you to choose how you react to situations, rather than allowing your anger to dictate your responses. One way to use this rule in everyday life is to question your thoughts that lead to your anger. Ask yourself, is this thought true, or are there other ways of seeing the situation that I could consider? By challenging your thoughts, you will prevent them from fueling your anger, leading to more constructive responses. Rule 3. Anger is an emotion, abuse and violence are actions. The third rule of anger management is that anger is an emotion, whereas abuse and violence are actions. To control anger, it is essential to differentiate between feeling angry and acting on that anger in harmful ways. As you probably know, anger is a natural emotion that can be constructive when managed correctly. However, when anger turns into abuse or violence, it becomes destructive and harmful. For example, it's okay to feel angry if your partner says or does something you disagree with, but it's not okay to yell at them, put them down, or abuse them in any way. Learning to recognize the difference between feeling angry and acting on that anger in harmful ways is essential for managing your anger effectively. Rule 4 is that anger does not help. One of the most common things I tell people I work with is that no matter the situation or who you are dealing with, responding with anger does not help. In fact, anger almost always makes things worse. It rarely leads to positive outcomes and can damage relationships irreparably. While this statement may seem obvious, it is common for people to act in angry, aggressive, or abusive ways. This especially applies in relationships. For example, I often see couples who argue with each other frequently. Often these arguments escalate, leading to one or both partners getting angry. Does this anger help them resolve the argument calmly and effectively? Of course, the answer is no. And more often than not, it simply makes it worse. Rule 5 is you cannot change other people, but you can change yourself. This rule is so important that I state it at the end of every podcast episode. Far too many people I see spend their time trying to change their partner, their children, or other people around them, always with no success. It is essential to realize that no matter what you do or say, you cannot change others. However, by changing how you respond to people, such as your partner or children, and remaining consistent about this, over time they may change how they respond to you. Rule 6 is to take responsibility for your actions. The 6th rule of anger management is to take responsibility for your actions. This means acknowledging how your behavior impacts others and owning up to your mistakes if you've allowed anger to control your actions. If you are like most people, it's easy to blame others for your anger or the actions you take when you are angry. However, real growth only comes from admitting responsibility for your actions and seeking to make amends where necessary. Taking responsibility for your actions has many benefits in relationships, including building trust and respect with your partner. It also allows for more constructive communication, as you can work together with your partner to find solutions for problems instead of placing blame. Rule 7 is to use the tension scale. The tension scale is a scale of tension or stress that I use with all my clients. As you probably know, the more tense or stressed you get in a situation, the more likely you will become angry. Therefore, it is essential to monitor your level of tension and stress before your anger gets out of control. I work with everyone I see to help them fully understand their tension scale. Once they do, if they are beginning to get frustrated, tense, or annoyed, they can recognize this well before their anger gets out of control. If you would like a copy of a sample tension scale, simply contact me via my website, angersecrets.com, and I will send it to you. Rule 8 is to seek to understand, not to win. The 8th rule of anger management is to seek to understand, not to win. In arguments, almost all couples I see focus on being right and winning the argument rather than trying to understand their partner's perspective. This only leads to further conflict and resentment. Instead of always trying to be right, try to listen and empathize with your partner's point of view. Ask clarifying questions and try to see things from their perspective. This does not mean you must agree with your partner, but it will help diffuse the situation and lead to more productive communication. Rule 9 is to practice listening skills. As I have discussed in previous podcast episodes, effective communication involves not just talking, but also listening to what other people have to say. When someone else is speaking, such as your partner, give them your full attention without planning your response while they are talking. Reflect back what you've heard by summarizing their points before sharing your thoughts. This shows respect for their perspective and helps prevent misunderstandings. Finish conversations by giving your partner positive feedback about what they have said. This will help your partner feel fully understood and foster healthy communication patterns. Rule 10 is to seek professional help if needed. Finally, my 10th rule for anger management is to seek professional help if needed. If your anger is causing significant problems in your life, seeking out a professional anger management counselor to help you address your anger issues will save you considerable heartache. Of course, I can help you control your anger, master your emotions, and create calmer, happier, and more loving relationships. If you want to learn more about how to work with me, simply visit my website, angersecrets.com. Remember that seeking help for anger is a sign of strength, not weakness, and will ultimately lead to a calmer, happier, and more fulfilling life. Okay, so there you have it, the 10 rules of anger management. To remind you, these 10 rules are: Rule 1, the key to anger management is awareness. Rule 2, you create your anger. Rule 3. Anger is a feeling. Abuse and violence are actions. Rule 4. Anger does not help. Rule 5. You cannot change other people, but you can change yourself. Rule 6. Take responsibility for your actions. Rule 7. Use the tension scale. Rule 8. Seek to understand, not to win. Rule 9. Practice listening skills. And Rule 10. Seek professional help if needed. Okay, that's it for today. If you found this episode helpful, please follow this podcast, leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast app, or share it with others who may benefit from these tips. And don't forget, my website, angersecrets.com, offers a range of free resources to help you control your anger. You can also book a free 30-minute anger assessment call with me to discuss your specific anger situation or enroll in my online anger management course, The Complete Anger Management System. Thank you for listening. And remember, you can't control other people, but you can control yourself. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
The Anger Secrets podcast is for general informational purposes only, and does not constitute the practice of counseling, psychotherapy, or any other professional health service. No therapeutic relationship is implied or created by this podcast. If you have mental health concerns of any type, please seek out the help of a local mental health professional.